welcome to song night number 41. That means there were 40 of these before, which you can go back and watch if you are ever looking for a reason to jump off a bridge someplace. What I want to talk about and maybe explore a little bit tonight is how I work with making music even when perhaps I don't feel like it or I don't have any creative ideas. And so that writer's block, which inevitably will come for everybody at different times, there are things you can do to get past it. And so that's what I want to discuss a little bit. And if we have some people on the stream, maybe I'll ask this question a few times throughout the next hour of what you do to overcome writer's block. In my case, this whole stream that I do every so often, the song night, that is one of my number one techniques right now. It's when I don't feel like it, I come on the stream sometimes thinking maybe this will push me into a direction, because once you push, let's go live on the stream, there's no hiding. It's like you got to do something. And often my songs will come out in the same chords or the same progressions or the same instrumentation. And I think that's okay. I think that I'm using this experience to really explore something new and do that. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit. First and foremost, I think you have to have instruments that you enjoy using. In my case, I love Logic because it has so many great instruments. And we've just got some new ones in one of the most recent updates, the studio piano and even the studio bass instruments. I think that there's a lot of good things about these instruments. I love this piano. It's very playable, and they were super smart in giving us the mono version as well as the stereo ones. The one mic Studio Grand. I think that fits really nicely into mixes in a way that you might not have expected. But every once in a while, it's like you want a nice stereo mic technique and a great sounding piano. And so for me, surrounding myself with instruments that I like is a big deal. So tonight we are going to do a little bit something different with this. I'm not going to be just doing a drum pattern in a traditional pop rock type song format. I want to explore some of the other features of Logic. And so right off the bat, let me actually label some of this stuff so best practices, right? Right off the bat with the piano, I like noodling. And so I like being able to just play something without thinking about it. And we have some tools in Logic which are great for that. Some of the smart tempo options. So we could do like the adapt, or even we have right here this tool, which is the free tempo recording, which I've had mixed results with. I want to get better at it. I think that there are some techniques with that you could actually improve with, but there are some parts of that which I think are really interesting. And I've done in the past some film music and TV commercial music. And there's a lot of times when you're doing music for the visual media where you have to work towards a click track or a set tempo. And when you first set that, so say you were given, a movie file from somebody and they say, can you score some parts to this? And you have to start figuring out the tempo of things. These tools I think are really useful in that area, but they're also useful if you don't want to push record that often, if you want to, just play without being locked into a metronome. I'm going to turn on capture recording for this as well, because I do think some of these tools play into that. But you always have to think of what the rhythm is still, because sometimes if you just do like a chord like this, another chord, it's not going to have a real good sense. But you can't always... Right, so you can add that pulse, and you can actually get rid of that pulse later if you want. But I just hit the capture recording button. Let's see if that actually, what we got with that. And I want to come in, click on that a little bit deeper. Well, I think with this, it actually makes the most sense just to drag it to the downbeat. So we can use that mechanism. So I didn't record with a metronome. I didn't have a tempo in mind. I just played something. You can see I was speeding up as it went along. It started at like 124 beats per minute and went up to 134 beats per minute. Cool. So we sped up a little bit. There's not a problem with that. In fact, once we play it like this, we can always come through and say, keep that tempo. And then I'm just going to drag that to a flat tempo. I kind of like that. Let's see if I can't develop that into something a little longer. Interesting. I kind of like that build up there. So with styles that are not necessarily percussion driven or other things, do we have to play them all the way through? We can still build them in chunks, I think. But you have to start really having you have to have the mind, you have to have your mind really build this out in terms of what you want from it. I think that's such an important part, is having that, like the concept, maybe not exactly up front, but over time, you have to build that in. I wonder if we have any notes over the beginning. No, we're all good. Okay, so that could be like an intro. And we'll do some melody on top of that with a different instrument. But let's take the next. I'm actually going to record this one with the click track for a minute. So let's give ourselves a count in. Let me see that one. Yeah. All of those notes. I tend to anticipate a little bit more than I should sometimes with the MIDI. I should probably record longer before the downbeat, but and let's duplicate this track. I'm just going to figure out a melody on top of it. And let me see. Almost, I'm looking at the chords now partially so I remember the actual structures I played, but also so that I can look at the movement. Because if I'm going to do a melody, I don't want the melody to necessarily move in the same place in the left hand as in the right hand. It's easy to want to mirror it instead of doing something against it, but I'm going to try. And let's repeat this out 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have some time to develop something. And let's do this. You can see, ooh, I have this on. Gotta undo that. So right off the bat there, let's do, this would be another thing that I really enjoy about Logic, are some of the score tools that we have. This may not be good for everybody, but I do feel like if you can read notation, it's nice to have that tool here. I know a lot of workstations have it. That's not something that's just Logic, but we're going to convert that to regions. We're going to join those into one. Okay, cool. score tool. And this is part of the thing right here. So when you have this and then you start recording, it switches to the next one. That's partly because of this little lock link button right there. So I want to unlink. And then when I start recording, it should let me keep on seeing the score. Okay, so let me listen to that for a second and see how that goes. And I just realized I probably showed you the link when I had it on the wrong screen. This is the link button right here. So let me show you that again. Sometimes streaming angles get a little too fancy. Interesting. So right off the bat, I don't know, I'm not hating it. Let's add another tool from Logic's toolkit, the groove track. And I'm going to quantize this region using the smart quantize. So there's two different quantizations, the smart quantize and then the traditional classic quantize. The smart one is great for piano and keyboard because instead of just making all of your, if you play like a chord, a triad or an extended chord, instead of making those all perfectly lined up as if a robot was doing it, it actually will still add a little bit of timing variations on anything that's a chord. So those simultaneities will be a little bit more realistic to a keyboard, which I like. And then we can set the second track to match the groove track. So that performance I just did now. So the first one's being quantized, the second one's being quantized to the first one. And some of them are being pulled to the wrong place, but we'll just do a quick edit as we go. And actually, let me take the strength of the first one down just a little bit. So it's not 100% quantized, but maybe like 85. Okay, so now we're starting to build something out of that first thing. Okay, interesting. Before we get, I mean, you could build this whole piano arrangement out from beginning to end, but I kind of want to add maybe some synth type stuff, some sound designy type things to this. And of course, we have some of the best tools in the business in Logic for this. It's like we have Alchemy or Sculpture, or then some other traditional synths, but those two specific, in particular, are so good when it comes to creating otherworldly type sounds. And let's start with Alchemy for a moment. And so we have like a whole portion of what Alchemy is a preset manager, which I think is kind of it's nice. It came with it when they incorporated this into Logic. It was there before that. But it is nice. I mean, it's nice to be able to find some stuff based on words that you might be thinking about. So, soundscapes, evolving, ambient. There's 302 presets. We're going to preset surf for a minute. And then we can adapt it as needed. And let's turn off the piano for a second. Actually, let's leave on the piano. That way I can hear what it's going to blend like with the piano. We don't want to go too new agey, for instance. I mean, that'd be fine, but just that's not what I'm looking for. Or maybe I am looking for that. I don't know. Ugh, that's close, but I don't know if that's right. Oh, behind the locked door. Ooh, that could be nice. Let's try that for a minute. And we'll go back to the score editor, which is still locked into that one. So I'm not going to be playing this at the very beginning. I want it to come in a little bit later. So we'll start this thing. We'll maybe come in after the first iteration of that. And I want to do, because I want to actually record some of this in, we're going to switch this to touch mode for the automation so that I can get some of the movements on the alchemy in there too. Let's see if I actually, it's in read. Ugh. Touch. What did I do wrong the first time? Touch. Let's take it out of touch for a second. I knew that it had not switched right. For whatever reason, it didn't go to touch mode. I don't know why. But test performance always works. The reason I knew it wasn't doing it is because as I moved this parameter around, when I let go, it never switched to anything else. In fact, what we should do for the first time is put it in write mode, and then I can do touch for updating it later. Man, I I did not see. Oh, there it is. Okay, it did work. I was like, I didn't see it writing it, but it did. Those sounds are pretty different from each other. I think I need to build the sound designy synth kind of in a little bit more. And then have it kind of just evolve over time. So I'm going to, what do I want to do? Automate, touch. Okay. So now I'm back to using the Panorama CS12 for a minute. We'll do the first pass of some automation with the volume. Right, so we build a little bit more volume in there. Let's put this back into read mode. Okay, so that's the end curve that you just watched me draw in with the fader. Let's do some reverb on both of these tracks, or all three of them, I guess. And then instant group, shift, click multiple tracks, and then I can add it all together. And we'll do, I'm guessing. Okay, hold on 1 second. Oop. Push a key. Let's do Space Designer and find a preset that's nice and long, or even a warped effect. Oof. Ghost rhythms, textures, gritty trail. I don't know. So two things I want to do, and this is maybe back to the original topic a little bit. The nerdery that this software lets you do, I think once I can just put something down, that first chord progression, the nerdery takes over and lets me build, so many things. We're going to use the binaural panner. This is the thing that uses psychoacoustic principles to give us spatial audio in a headphone situation. So if you're not wearing headphones when you're watching this, put them on, because this allows me to move sounds all around your head, even though it's just two channels. And it's using, interaural time, interaural level. It's mimicking the pinna, your ear flap, to put things all around you, essentially using a head-related transfer function, which all of those are key, terminology things, which if you don't know what they are, just Google binaural panning, or use ChatGPT or something to figure it out. But it's cool. So we're going to put this into touch mode. And then the last thing I'm thinking about doing, that piano melody part is just a little bit too piano-like. So we're going to do something to maybe change that around a little bit. We'll use the bit crusher. No guarantee that this is going to sound good. Downsampling. Okay, but the nice thing is, let's go back over the other camera for a minute. I'm going to use my knobs here, multiple knobs, to do an automation pass on this. So first things first, automation. I'm going to put this into touch mode and locate this right place. So when this piano comes in, I'm going to use the resolution and downsampling to push this a little bit. Okay, we're going to undo that. I am going to change my approach a little bit. Instead of doing it as touch mode, because these things they don't register my finger touch. I'm going to switch this to right. I just got to be really careful not to write anything that's the wrong thing. Now that piano lead part is still a piano, but it certainly disintegrates as we go, tying it into the other part. That's the kind of thing that I think having a tool for almost everything in the toolkit really makes that more powerful. Okay, I think we're at a breaking point here. Maybe the last thing I'll add real quick is an orchestra, because that makes sense. Strings, at least. Although, I'm not sure. I mean, maybe brass would be better, but we're going to do strings. Strings, full strings, long. Sure. I like these strings. The Hollywood strings. Now, I wish that these were something that Logic offered, but it's not. And so Logic doesn't have any what I would consider really good strings. They just don't. That's okay. Let's see what we got. So maybe the strings will tie a little bit of that, but I don't know. I like how it starts. I need some more dynamics in there with those. That's just a first chord plop, but... Okay, it's ready for a new section, but it's a section we're not going to get to tonight. Yeah, so for me, this type of experiment or building is a way to get past some of those blockages. Put down some random chords. Don't worry about a click track. Use the tools in the software to actually allow you to just play and doodle and then inspire you into new things. And I think that creativity, that willingness to just, put something down, I think is going to be one of your greatest tools in terms of getting past some of those times when you're like, I don't have anything, or everything in mine sounds the same. Well, this certainly didn't sound the same as anything I've done on my other song nights. And so I think that that's kind of fun. The willingness to experiment with the tools, I think, is really important. Anyway, that's a good place to stop this stream. Just another Sunday night ramble. If you're still watching this, then maybe it's time to reevaluate your life. But thanks for watching anyway, all along this ride.